I took a leave from work on February 13, that's a Tuesday, because I decided to spend an entire day in school to work on my graduate thesis. I haven't really been able to concentrate much on anything since the end of November because of health reasons, but now that my medication has been adjusted and I can actually concentrate again the way I used to, I decided to jump right back into the heat of my research. Here I am riding a Tamarao FX. That's what we call this vehicle, and I am in the back part of it. You can see that we are stopped in traffic, and the driver is buying some cigarettes from a street vendor. It's pretty normal here. If you can also notice, the second row has four people. That's standard loading for this kind of public utility vehicle, although it's very uncomfortable. The front passenger seat also has two people squeezed in there, although there should really be only one. That's standard loading too. We have very strange standards here. In such a trip as this, the driver does not just drive, he also accepts the payments from passengers and gives them change. Right now you can see he's doing it while we are stopped in traffic, but he can also do this even if the vehicle is actually moving. It's kind of a mad skill, and traffic has already started to build up. You can see that public utility vehicles stop right there, wherever they want, and passengers get on and off. And for the most part, that's how things are done in Metro Manila. It's insane. Finally, here we are at what we call PhilCoA, which stands for the Philippine Coconut Authority, a government office that's right at the corner of this street. There's a whole bunch of stores here, including a big branch of Mercury Drug, a drugstore chain in my country that is also a convenience store. I left my dorm so early that I haven't had breakfast yet. I wasn't too hungry anyway because my appetite has not yet completely returned because of my medication, but I felt that I had to eat something, so I went to the nearby Chowking and ordered a wonton soup, and the guy at the counter looked at me so strangely because that's all I ordered. It cost me all of 45 pesos. I'm a little eager to have my appetite return because I actually miss eating the food that I love. Maybe my appetite will return soon because my medication has already been adjusted to be not so strong. Of course, it was a super quick breakfast, and offices and libraries in the University of the Philippines open at 8:30ish, so I am right on time. Here we are right back outside again, and there are jeepneys going straight into the University of the Philippines campus right here, and we just have to find the right one. And here I am walking along this line of jeepneys, and it doesn't look that there is any order to them, but believe me, there is. And finally, here's one. The signage on it says it's going to the UP campus, and I want to show you guys this. All jeepneys that travel within UP have this rope that goes along the length of the ceiling of the jeepney. It's for passengers to pull when we want the jeepney to stop. Not all jeepneys have this, but I have noticed that all UP jeepneys have this. It's actually kind of cool. And finally, here we are across the street from the main library, and we are going to cross the street right here at this pedestrian lane. If you can remember, I showed you this parking lot right here before in an earlier vlog, which I will link down below. It was rainy then, but the main library is here, and that's where we are going. I like staying in the main library because one section of it stays open until midnight on weekdays. But of course, that's just one of the reasons why I like this library. The other reasons why I like this library I will talk about later. It is not yet 9 o'clock. I think I'm right on time. I'm not too early and I'm not too late either. I think I'm off to a good start. And this is the open corridor that leads to the main entrance of the main library. In that previous vlog that I mentioned earlier, if you watch it, you will see that the thumbnail is a photo of foliage, and this point right here is where I took that photograph from. Finally, here we are in the destination for today. This is the general references section of the main library. This is the section that's open until midnight on weekdays. This is also the section with the most number of tables and chairs because It has the least number of stacks. This section, being for general references, houses all of the dictionaries and thesauruses and atlases and encyclopedias, and those publications have already moved to electronic format, and that's why this section has very few stacks. Here is where I have set up my study area for the day. I have already put on rainymood.com, which is my go-to white noise when studying. I will link the website down below. And I also have my Filofax Savannah, the photocopy of Spectres of Marx by Jacques Derrida that I'm currently studying, and some other papers. Most of the morning, I was watching the first part of Professor Karl Raschke's lecture on the book Spectres of Marx, and I took notes from that to give me a handle on the book because Derrida is not an easy theorist to understand, but I need him for my framework for my thesis. I was also interacting on Facebook with some of my friends and classmates and one of my professors about Derrida, and I will show you that later. I decided to take a break at 11 a.m. I've had only a very light breakfast and I felt I had to eat something, although I wasn't really hungry. At this point, I already had a lot of notes typed up on my text edit app, and I also used the Magnet app to manage the open windows on my screen. I really love using the Magnet app, it's so helpful. I will link the Magnet app in the description box just in case you're interested. More people have also started to come into this section of the library, but it's not yet crowded. I decided to go outside and eat something anyway. There are so many places to eat inside this campus, but right outside the main library, there is a set of food stalls where people eat if they don't want to go far away from the library because they have to go back immediately after eating. And that's also what I'm going to do. So I am going to pick one of these stalls right here. On the other side of this small structure are more stalls. There used to be a very good sandwich place here, and I wanted to go there, but I can see that it's been replaced by a stall that serves chicken, and I'm not really in the mood for chicken, and I don't even want rice. So I decided that maybe I can eat some noodles. So I ordered a bowl of instant pancit canton and a chocolate milk drink from the stall beside it. It is only 11 o'clock in the morning, so the area is not yet crowded. Only a couple of people are here having lunch, and it's actually a nice day to be outside. It's not too hot, but it's windy, and because this campus is so full of trees, it's very refreshing to be outside. After half an hour, I was done with my pancit canton and my chocolate drink, and the place was starting to fill up, so I decided to head back to the library to pick up where I left off with the Karl Raschke lecture on the specters of Marx. Back in the library, I decided to sit in the area where there are sockets where we can plug in our electronics because my laptop was already running low on battery. There are a few tables with that feature here, and some people are already using them. But to use those sockets, we have to ask for permission inside this office right here. Going inside, we can see that there are computer terminals in here. These terminals are for use by those who did not bring their laptops, and these terminals have access to the electronic materials and subscriptions that the school makes available to its students and faculty. I had to use this terminal right here to log in my name and the service I wanted to use, which was the tapping of electricity, and I was given a number to display where I was seated so the person overseeing the reading room would know that I actually have permission to plug in my electronic devices, and the number hangs right here in this teeny tiny post where I want to be seated. At a little before 3 o'clock, I decided to stop tapping the electricity because both my laptop and my phone were already fully charged, so I surrendered that pink label and paid for my electricity, which was 20 pesos an hour, and I transferred to the table where I stayed this morning, and at about 4:30, I was already able to write part of what I wanted for my framework, but it was not yet finished at that point, but I wanted to finish it within the day. I was actually initially planning to sit in with a friend of mine in her comparative literature class, but I opted not to go because I do want to finish writing my framework. But at this point, 4:30, I wanted to take a break and I decided to take a walk while mulling some things over. I interacted with some of the Facebook comments. I decided to take a walk to the shopping center and take some video footages there for you guys. And while I am there, I might as well get something to eat because finally I already started to feel a little bit hungry. There is actually a concert going on behind the main library where the sunken garden is because the UP fair is ongoing, but I'm not going there because my focus today should be on my framework. And it's actually a little bit noisy, and I'm going to turn the original sound back on for you guys to hear. There were the usual sights during my walk: fellow students, ongoing roadwork, and these relatively new dorm buildings for the students of the College of Law. And finally, here is the outside of the shopping center. There are some people selling food outside, and they're there pretty much every day. But today, some are selling flowers and heart-shaped balloons because it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. Inside the shopping center, there is just one long, narrow hallway with shops on either side. Going along one line of shops, you can see that they are mostly photocopying shops, bookbinding shops, school supplies, and shops for buying cell phone credit or what we call cell phone load, optical shops, a few shops for shoes and clothes and souvenir items, and of course, food. The other side also has pretty much the same kind of shops. This is where I wanted to eat. It's called Rodix, and it's one of the oldest restaurants here in the campus. It is very small, but people really just come in here to eat quickly and then leave. They have some variety of viands available, but I ordered the Rodix bestseller, which is tapsilog, which is short for beef tapa, sinangag rice, and itlog or egg. Before going back to the library, I wanted to get some snacks so I can have something to munch on, and I passed by this shop which sells glass laboratory instruments, and the entire shop looks like it's straight out of the 1950s. After I got my snacks, I walked back to the library and I arrived at around 6 o'clock. And I was able to get more writing done, but before 8 o'clock, I needed to plug in my laptop again. And I saw that all of the tables that had sockets on them were occupied. A lot of students were working on their laptops and their tablets, but I still asked for permission to plug in my devices anyway because I brought an extension cord with me. The guy who works for the library plugged in my extension cord into the socket reserved for the electric fan, and he plugged the electric fan into my extension cord, and then I was able to plug in my laptop on the other side of the extension cord. So, an extension cord is really a very handy thing to have when studying here. Here is a look at my hyperdex at this moment in time. I was able to do a lot of studying, which is the dark rose color on the second and third layers of the hyperdex. I also had a lot of help from my Facebook, which I have deactivated and then reactivated. I think my friends list got messed up, but anyway, during the day I kept posting things that interested me from the Karl Raschke lectures and from Derrida's writings, and a bunch of people responded, like my classmates and also a fellow writer who is the editor-in-chief of the Philippines Graphic, and also one of my professors responded. They gave me leads on what else to read and helped clarify some things I was confused about, and also shared with me things that they liked and what they liked reading and things like that. So, really, if you have the right Facebook friends, Facebook can be a really good study tool. And I simply continued doing what I was doing until almost 10 o'clock in the evening. And over on the side where the sockets are, people have already started to go. I was able to do a substantial amount of work on my framework, and I also was able to add a little bit more to my definition of terms. But at that point, at around 10 o'clock, I decided to call it a day. Outside, the concert is raging on, and it's going to keep on going until, well, after midnight, I think. Here I am in an FX vehicle once again, but this time I am in the front passenger seat, and the roads were clear for the most part, except for this pocket of traffic right here. But I got home in more or less 1 hour. It was a good day.